What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm already laughing because we are on the 4th day of this year and the insanity continues to flow. And when I say flow, I mean flow. It's been crazy. Tom, what say you about this, bro?
No, everything's mellow and chill. It is. You know what? There was a great reset that was done on December 31st. January 1st, midnight, whatever it is. It was a great reset that's done, and everything's awesome. I mean, didn't you get the memo? Everything's good.
Hey, I'm gonna.
Everything is beautiful.
No. Wait. But before, okay, let's just go over the basics real quick. First of all, if you are on Facebook Live, we would love for you guys to please share this, okay? Let people know that we are here, because after I get over the YouTube stuff, we got to talk about your prophecy update. And I know we have to be careful because I don't want to get in the way of, our friends at YouTube clocking us, but that prophecy update was great. We're going to talk about it in just a second. But also, for those of you guys that are on YouTube, I just want to take a moment to thank you for all your support. I do want to say that if you are watching us right now, please do us a big favor. Like this, share this with other people. Let them know we are talking about serious stuff. Please do us a big every now and again. I just heard myself in like triple time.
You did. It was my phone.
You're watching me, Tommy. You can't get enough of me, can you? See, he loves me. I know he loves me. Now I know he loves me.
Oh, my goodness.
I wanted to just take a moment to also acknowledge all of you guys that are already super chatting. You guys are awesome. Pookie Martinez, yes, you are right. We do want to pray for Pastor Mike McIntosh. We'll talk about that. He's having quadruple bypass this morning. So thank you for that. Bridget Lawson, thank you for your super chat. Our very first super sticker goes to Shelly Berg. Thank you so much. Michael Sanchez, obviously always a blessing. Thank you. Cindy Rollins, thank you, Pastor James, for all you do. Blessings to you and Pastor Tom. And Titus 213, Happy New Year, happy birthday. And I can't read all the other stuff because it's like the blah, 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 blah. And love you, family. And then another whosoever, giving to you guys, would that be considered alms?
Alms.
Hey, bro. We gotta talk. We gotta talk about this. I know that there are things that we can't talk about, but man, I really think that people should go and take a peek at that interview that you had for your prophecy update. That was very good, and I was actually very pleased because I had watched your update right before mine, and I started on it a little bit later, so I was able to rewind it while you guys were live. And I was also able to put it in double time so that I could catch up so that I wouldn't miss my own. So I heard the whole thing before I went out there. And boy, let me tell you something. Anyway, it was good.
Yeah, it was a great night. And with Billy Crone, he brought a lot to the table, and he didn't hold anything back. But, we went on to my website and we had our server host the whole video because we knew that we would have challenges on the other venue. So that's what we did. So it's still watchable at hopeforourtimes.com. I think it's on the front page. Let me look if anybody hasn't seen it. I'm sure a lot of viewers. It is still on the front.
It is on the front page.
Yep,
it is. And then what's also great is that you do have the beginning of it on your YouTube, and you've got a link there in the show notes where people can go down, which is really good. I think it was good. Carrie Prod, by the way, thank you so much. No, we haven't been demonetized yet. That's the operative word, but it's coming. So Crystal, thank you so much, Crystal Forever His. You say you guys are simply the best. I consider you front linemen like Mel Gibson in The Patriot. I'd be in a tree, like waiting for somebody to come by with a rifle, but that would probably get us in trouble. Me saying that. I'm just describing what Mel Gibson did. Would be great if you guys did a live stream with blue paint on your face, huh? And Reagan Key 1776, thank you. Oh yes, people are making comments on me being on Bible in 365. For those of you who don't know, Erica Kirk, who's Charlie Kirk's wife, she has, and thank you, Aaron McConnell, she has an app that they just launched called Bible in 365. The first 3 days she launched it, 17,000 people downloaded it. And for the last 3 or 4 years, they've been encouraging people to read through the Bible from cover to cover. And this year, I am making a video for every book of the Bible that gives them a little bit of summary of what you can find in the Bible, as well as some other videos. By the time we're done, I will be making probably 100 instructional type videos for Erica, for use exclusively with Bible in 365 for a whole year. She'll have it over the course of the next year, and so that's what people are commenting on right now. I'm pretty cool that people are following that. But anyway, going back to your
that's
update.
Cool. That is cool. Yes, it was great. So I mean, it was really good. So hesitant to say great, but because. It was. Well, no, okay. Somebody else. It's weird when you do something and say it's great. Wasn't I awesome? I mean, it's kind of odd, but hey, listen, I had a guest that was outstanding.
I got a lot of compliments on my Bible prophecy update that I did that night. But bro, I was all fired up after watching yours.
Amen.
So that's it. Kind of. So you get double credit, bro.
Yeah, it did get pretty much people fired up. That's for sure. It didn't. I have a new app to be able to, so people can text a question during a live event. And it was cool. We had so many questions, and most of the people were exceptionally fired up, and a few people were kind of ticked off. But that's what happened. So, but it was very good. Did you
get some really angry text messages?
A few, and there are a few. Yeah, I'm sure you could understand that why. But overall, it was very good because these things just need to be said, and in our case, we had to go off the regular format to be able to say it.
Bro, listen, I think it was great. I think it was well worth it, and things like that need to be said. I think it's kind of foolish to assume or to imagine for whatever reason that, these things are not going on. To ignore these things is just incredibly foolish. It's just crazy. So,
hey, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, bro. Go ahead. No, go ahead. No.
Okay, go ahead. So we have a lot of news, and we have a lot of things to do today because we even have Monkey today. Right. So, I have some things that are going to kind of push the envelope. So you just tell me, you just say something like, no, we can't go there, because I have a lot that's going to, we can easily go over the edge. This is your YouTube channel. I don't want to get you in trouble. So you tell me. So you let me know when you're ready. And
I'm ready.
Okay. So here's let's just start here. This is a nice, easy one. This is a softball one for you. Iran nuclear talks won't end in good result for Israel, says Lapid.
Of course they won't.
Yeah. So I told you, boom. So that's like a soft pitch.
And then the funny part is it's coming from the Lapid part. I mean, come on, really?
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. I read this. I thought, okay, we'll start off with a nice softball on this one. Yeah. 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 That's exactly what I thought.
Dude, wait, that's just like jumping off a 4,000-foot cliff, and while you're about halfway down, you're going, this isn't going to work out real well.
With no parachute, no wings, no nothing. Yeah, exactly. So I told you I was going to start off nice and soft. Are we allowed to talk about this?
Okay.
I would love to if we can.
Okay.
Mass formation psychosis. and which is brainwashing.
Why wouldn't we talk about it? I talk about mass psychosis all the time.
Okay. Well, how far down this path can we go?
Well, I mean, obviously, we have to be careful of the kind of words that we use.
Okay.
But I have always been talking about mass psychosis.
Okay. Well, how far into it do you want to go?
Well, let's. Okay. So
do I just cut out certain words as I read through this and we talk?
Yeah. Or
okay,
just
ready?
give me a roundabout.
In Canada, the military also admitted, which I just skipped a whole bunch of other things regarding totalitarianism and mind control, launching a psychological operations campaign against their own people in order to manipulate them into bleep, 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 and bleep. During his viral podcast with Joe Rogan, and so explained how the global population was being manipulated into remaining in a constant state of
fear. Yeah.
Fear
so
and
let me
other things.
Can I jump in and make a comment on this?
Oh, please do, because I'm going to read and cut out stuff so you fill in the blanks.
So this interview that I think you're referring to with Joe Rogan with a particular doctor, who in my opinion is quite a hero, but we'll leave that be, right? This doctor, this interview that went on with him, ready for this? #1 podcast ever watched in world history.
It's pretty off the charts.
In world history.
Okay.
#1.
Let me ask you this. So I saw this thing the other day. It said something to the effect of, I can't quote it exactly because I don't have the exact quote, but Joe Rogan has the ability to take down
CNN,
MSNBC, and all these other mainstream media outlets by his the push that he's got and the amount of popularity that he is now gaining for pushing back against the nonsense that's out there. That's pretty incredible.
Oh yeah. Oh, bro, listen. Look, here's my thoughts on this, right? The influence that he has is literally changing the world. I mean, people, okay, this particular podcast that got listened to, you ready for this one? It got listened to. This is record breaking for there's no podcast in human history that we know of that has been listened to one particular episode, 100 million listeners.
100 million.
100 million.
I don't know if you know this. Have you seen your YouTube numbers?
Yeah.
Or mine? That's a little bit higher than what we got.
Just a tad, bro. Just a tad.
100 million and still going. And still going.
Bro, on that, just that episode. Now, I don't know how many followers he actually has.
He has a lot of followers.
Right?
He's got, just a hint, he has more followers than you and me combined. Bro, isn't that a shocker?
Bro, my guess is in the YouTube. Okay, let me just say this: he has more listeners on his podcast than I don't even know how to quantify it. He is #1.
Yeah. Now he also, you're thinking back, he was not a Trump fan. He wasn't on the right.
No.
He was totally left on so much. But it's just fascinating to watch this. I mean, you watch him, you watch Bill Maher, you watch these people that are saying, hey, something's wrong here.
Oh, yeah.
And the amount of followers they have. So back to this whole psychosis thing, mass formation psychosis is brainwashing. And the best tool to brainwash the masses is fear. When we think of brainwashing, we're thinking, with my generation anyways, there are movies in the 1960s where, you'd have some kind of electrical thing connected to somebody's head, and that's how the brainwashing begins. But it has nothing to do with that. It is this type of thing.
Yeah. So this is amazing, right? I'm gonna talk about this issue because I talk about this mass psychosis thing all the time. Matter of fact, I've made multiple videos of it before it got popularized by the phrase that this doctor was using on Rogan's show. But this thing is unbelievable. By the way, I want to stop for 1 second and say this. For all of you people that are super chatting and doing super stickers, you are all amazing. Thank you for your support and your love. I am going to acknowledge you right before we get get into the Q&A time because you are doing it so much now that it would just disrupt the show altogether if I kept reading everybody off. But you guys are amazing, and we appreciate your support. The fact that you continue to do it is such a blessing. Okay, bro.
Yes.
How does mass psychosis form? Do you have any, has there been any real discussion or time that you've spent on it? Because I know when you talked to Billy, there was a lot of discussion there, right, about it.
Yeah. I was going to go, I had some other things I was going to share, but he just did a great job, the direction that he took with us. So I left it at that. And at that point, we were pretty much out of time, except for the few questions that we were able to take. But this is from that interview that we're referring to, the other one with Joe Rogan. This is a quote. What the heck happened to Germany in the 20s and 30s? Very intelligent, highly educated population, and they went barking mad. How did that happen? The answer is mass formation psychosis. When you have a society that has become decoupled from each other and has free-floating anxiety, hence fear, in a sense that things don't make sense, we can't understand it, and then their attention gets focused by a leader or series of events on one small point, just like hypnosis, which you and I have been talking about that since the beginning. This hypnotic place that people seem to be in, they literally become hypnotized and can be led anywhere. Okay, so with it, what happens is with this mass psychosis, when it comes, the best way to do it is through anxiety and fear upon the people. When you bring a culture into that, a country into that, whatever it is, people are looking for relief. They're looking for the safety factor. So the majority of the people go to with what is told, this is where your safety is going to be, because they just want relief. But there are some people who hold out and say, wait a minute, I'm not looking for my safety in that. I'm looking for my safety over here because something seems wrong with this. So this isn't the first time in the history of the world where you have a mass psychosis. It's happened throughout the history of the world.
Come on, bro.
And there's this, you can look at, you start going into Pol Pot. You can look at China right now. When you go and you just look at China and how they operate, you have the holdouts. You have people that are put into camps. But what do you have with the majority of the people? We're going to do whatever President Xi says.
Oh yeah,
right,
bro. Listen,
so, yeah,
I have to read this to you because it's good that we're talking about this. I have a friend. His name is Bobby Grow. He is a blogger. There's a lot of things that it's not a lot, but there are some things that he says that I just don't agree with, right? Like we don't agree with eschatology, and there's a few other things that we just don't agree with. But he's a pretty intelligent man that loves the Lord. And he wrote a blog recently where he quoted somebody, and I want to read this quote to you, right? Because this quote is like unbelievable, right? This is William Scherer, who was from Adolf Hitler's time, working with him. And he writes this, okay? And it's a little lengthy, but I just think it's appropriate to read, okay? He says, I myself was to experience how easily one is taken in by lying and censored by a lying and censored press and radio in a totalitarian state. Though unlike most Germans, I had daily access to foreign newspaper, especially those of London, Paris, and Zurich, which arrived the day after publication. And though I listened regularly to the BBC and other foreign broadcasts, my job necessitated the spending of many hours a day in combing the German press, checking the German radio, conferring with Nazi officials, and going to party meetings. It was surprising and sometimes consternating to find that notwithstanding the opportunities, I had to learn the facts, and despite one's inherent distrust of what one learned from Nazi sources, a steady diet over the years of falsifications and distortions made a certain impression on one's mind and often misled it. No one who has not lived for years in a totalitarian land can possibly conceive how difficult it is to escape the dread consequences of a regime's calculated and incessant propaganda. Often in a German home or office, or sometimes in a casual conversation with a stranger in a restaurant, a beer hall, a cafe, I would meet with the most outlandish assertions from seemingly educated and intelligent persons. It was obvious that they were parroting some piece of nonsense they had heard on the radio or read in the newspapers. Sometimes one was tempted to say much, but one realized how useless it was to even try to make contact with a mind which had become warped and for whom the facts of life had become what Hitler and Goebbels, with their cynical disregard for truth, and they were. Wow.
Yeah. You know what? That's almost, this is what this article says, which is so, it just lines up with that. This article says one of the aspects of that phenomenon is that people that they identify as their leaders, the ones typically that come in and say, you have this pain and I can solve it for you, I and I alone, then they will follow that person. Then here it is. This is just like what you just closed with. It doesn't matter whether they lied to them or whatever. The data is irrelevant.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. So truth is so when you look at what's happened in our culture in America, listen, the strong man had to be taken down. And that's happened in universities. It's happened through mainstream media. It's been happening for a long time. Get rid of the truth, where the people get to a place where they are lied to, and they're just fine with that. The data is relevant. Don't confuse me with the facts. I don't want to hear the truth. I remember back when you would hear talk show hosts say, well, that's your truth. Well, how can you have your truth and the truth? You can't. Either something is true or it's not. But that's been happening for a long time.
Think about it like this, right? This is kind of an important way to go about it. Sorry, I had to hand my assistant my phone. Think about it. It's already picked up. Can you talk to them? Sorry about that. Yeah, so you think about it like this. What you're saying is 100% true. And when you take it a step further, where it ends up culminating is a very, very crazy place, okay? So look at it like this. Let's pretend I have a group of 100 people, and I want to create a condition of mass psychosis within them, okay? I will take a crisis. It could be a crisis that is legit, based on and founded upon something very dark and evil, right? Let's just say it was something horrible, something that really horribly happened, right? It could be everybody gets a cold or something that, everybody got a disease that was really bad or whatever it might be. It could come from something really bad. Maybe everybody in the group lost their homes, let's just say, right? So what I want to do, if I want to create a condition of mass psychosis in that group, I would, in the name of that crisis, in the name of that disaster, say, well, listen, because of what's happened, you can no longer do this, and this. And only for your safety, we're going to have to lock you down in a little tiny cardboard shack because all the bad hyenas out there want to get you. They all want to attack you. So you go in there and you go, oh, this is horrible. I hate this. This is so bad. And let's just pretend that everybody used to own a big, huge mansion and now they've been relegated to a small little cardboard house. Well, by the time they've gotten used to living in that cardboard house for about, I would say, let's just say, a year and a half, then I would come out and I would say, hey, congratulations. We have successfully protected you from all of the hyenas. You can now live in a 200 square foot home. And everybody would say, are you sure? I don't want to get out of this box. I want to be safe. Yeah. Really? Oh, well, wow. Okay, we'll live in a 200 square foot home. They live in a 200 square foot home after living in a 6,000 square foot home. And they say, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then speaking of sliced bread, you say, you get 2 pieces of sliced bread every single day. And if you're really good, we'll give you some cheese. And what happens is I was the oppressor. I was the one that made it go down. I was the one that did this. I was the one that did that. I was the one that made all of these changes, right? I oppressed you, but now I'm looked at as the hero because I've taken proverbially speaking, I've taken $300,000 away from you, and now I'm a hero for giving you $3 back. That's mass psychosis.
That's a spot on illustration. You know, let's look at our culture right now in America and all the blessings that America has had from God. Rich blessings, big homes, all kinds of things that God has blessed us with. But America has turned their backs on God, rejected God. So we want to live our own lives. So God says, okay, I'm going to turn you over. So guess who the new master is? It's Satan. He's the God of this world. And guess what? He is going to do everything that you just said. And instead of Americans experiencing the great blessings of God, they're going to be crushed and devastated and ruined. Every single thing you said in that illustration. And then they're going to say, wow, we worship you. What fools. Fools. That's the reality of where we are.
It's a brilliant insight, Tommy, because you have to think about it like this, right? If you really want to look at it from the perspective of history, right? We just want to look at it from just the straight facts. Satan has been doing this forever. Okay? Look at it from the perspective of the Garden of Eden. Satan came as a snake. He deceived the woman, right? And the man then chose to be willfully disobedient, right? He willfully rebelled against the Lord. Now, understand this. Satan has always been about taking away man's freedom. When man was given the Garden of Eden and was given all these responsibilities, they were free. I mean, literally, man was walking around without clothes. There was no shame. Man was with his wife. Although the idea of me walking around without any clothes is a little, it's not as attractive.
That was a picture I
know. I didn't want to go there, bro. Oh, God, help us all. Anyway.
Get back to your story.
You see man walking around in complete freedom. They have the ability to do everything. Look, everything is wonderful. And then when man disobeys God, the Bible says through one man sin entered the world. And now because of sin has created bondage. Freedom is the first thing that you lose when you sin against God because you allow yourself to be given to bondage. So when we see world governments choosing to take freedom away, it's a reflection of their heart rebelling against the true and living God. That's exactly what happens. This is why I despise Christians who say they're not going to contend for freedom, because that means they've never been given true freedom themselves. They don't understand what real freedom is, because we were all in bondage and God freed us from that bondage. And the ultimate reflection of a God-centered society is that of freedom. And if a society has turned their heart to the Lord, they are not going to allow themselves to be given to the elements of bondage which create the constructs of mass psychosis. By the way, the constructs of mass psychosis had been created long before the totalitarian regime that's currently in office came into office. These constructs were created by Satan himself when everybody said, oh, we're going to kill babies in the name of freedom, or we're going to go ahead and we're going to become a woman even though we were men in the sake of freedom, or we're going to go ahead and live this kind of lifestyle and claim or contend that it's for freedom. No, it's actually bondage. You walk into bondage because you've walked away from the true and living God. You've allowed yourself to capitulate to the ideals and the constructs of mass psychosis because you believe that whatever you're going to get from the person who put you in bondage is going to be the best thing for you. And in reality, all they're doing is sucking the life out of you.
Oh, yeah. So who the Son sets free is free indeed. But it's this concept. This is given over to a reprobate mind where you've become so perverted. Your mind is given over to these weird perversions that you will make decisions that you think are for your freedom and they're for your good when actually they turn out to be for your own destruction. So as we move towards this globalist system, this new world order, it's going to be anything but freedom, yet people are going to be thinking, I am free, and they're going to worship Antichrist. That's what's going to happen. So as we watch all of this happen, if you're outside of it, you can look and go, wow, you can tell exactly what is going on. The world is being prepared to march right into this. Satan knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
And he's marching the world right on down that path. And those who are in disagreement saying, hey, look out. watch out. You better wake up. We're the bad people. Like you read, that letter that you read a few minutes ago regarding Nazi Germany. You look at that on the outside looking in going, dude, you got trouble.
One of these days, Tom, I'm going to take a bunch of your videos and audio files just as a hobby, just for fun, from 8 years ago, right? When we first met, or 10 years ago. I don't know, probably 10 years ago. I think it's closer to 10 years ago, right? And I'm going to take a series of some of those videos that even me and you made together, or interviews or studies, and I'm going to read some of the comments that we got, if I still have them, of people calling us absolutely insane, crazy, even pastors, saying, you're focusing on things that probably will never happen, and you're absolutely crazy. Why are you focusing on conspiracy theories when now what they used to call a conspiracy theory is now in the mainstream?
Yeah,
it's in the mainstream.
It's in the mainstream. And not only that, if we report on those things, they'll shut you down. This comes down to what's truth, what's not truth. So you have to make the other side, when you're presenting the truth, if you want to shut that down, you have to shut it down, or you're never going to get your whole brainwashing tactic done.
Right.
And that's what's happening. So when you look at what's happening to all social media, all mainstream media, people just should ask themselves, why are all of these going in the same direction? And if you really notice, they're also anti-Christ.
Oh, of course.
They'll let you talk about God, but they won't let you talk about the truth about Jesus. So when you start looking at that, these things, if you say things like Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, nobody comes to the Father except by him. Wow, that's hate speech. You mean?
Oh, yeah.
You mean there's no other way to get to heaven? I mean, it's an interesting world. So these things should cause people to say, well, maybe I should pay attention. Maybe these people don't have the best interests in mind for me. No, they don't. Satan's wicked, and he has a whole bunch of evil minions that work here on this planet for him.
I agree. Bro, listen, I agree. I think more and more we're going to see stuff like this begin to manifest itself, and we're going to find out. We're going to recognize the kind of evils that exist in the world in which we live more and more and more.
Yeah.
And you recognize how people are they continue to collude, and they continue to say things. I would just encourage, and I would never encourage anybody to do this, but I would encourage everybody to go and search. And when I find it, I'm going to play it for you because I just heard it. Maybe you can find it for me, Dale. But there is a video of the most evil doctor in the world actually making a statement concerning children and how they have been miscounted in terms of hospitalizations. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I played that. I played it on YouTube. I played that. And it's still there.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I could find the actual clip itself, because it's actually
I can
it's
send it.
unbelievable.
You want me to send it to you right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I just got to remember who it was I sent to, and I will get it to you here in just a second.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You keep talking while I'm looking.
Yeah, there's a couple of them like that. I mean, you see what's going on, and to me, I think it's even more amazing the fact that you have Flashbang, right, the current leader of this regime, who gets out there and he says, "I'm not going to end the economy. I'm going to end the virus." That's what he says, right? And then he goes in front of a bunch of governors last week and tells the governors there's nothing that the federal government can do.
Yeah.
Right? So these are the kind of elements that exist within the construct of mass psychosis, particularly in the country that we live right now. We are watching this. And this is, in essence, in my opinion, I look at this based on what the scriptures teach, right? We are preparing the world, literally preparing the world for the coming Antichrist.
Yep. Hey, so here's what we have a choice, James, you and I, and people that like us, and people that view what we view our channels, that are supportive. We have a choice to make. We can continue to go forward and being a watchman on the wall, warning everybody, giving them the truth, or we can say, you know what, this fight's too hard. I'm just going to kick back. I think I'm just going to just going to go along with it because it is much easier. You got to admit, James, it's much easier to just go along with everything and hope it all works out. And I think there's a lot of pressure that a lot of people experience. The jobs are on the line, schools, being involved in schools on the line. There's so many different things. There's family pressure. I can't meet with my family. There's so many different pressures to just go along.
Yep.
And it's hard, and we need to encourage one another to press forward in this present world.
I agree.
And I look at it this way. Listen, everyone, God's gotten us through 2020. He's gotten us through 2021. And we're all probably stronger and wiser for it. And in 2022, God's going to do more remarkable things in us and through us. He's going to get us through, and we're going to be the better and wiser come the end of 2022. If we're not raptured, we're going to be the better and the wiser for it. So he's got us. He's not going to let us go.
Amen to that. And I see it. Look, I'm looking around and I'm recognizing that there are people by the grace of God that are noticing some of this right now. There are people by the grace of God that, because God is opening up the hearts and the minds of so many people, we're beginning to watch God do this amazingly miraculous work in the minds and in the hearts of not only his people, but people that are all around the world that are actually watching us. Right? That are watching, they don't have to be watching us, but just looking at programs like this, watching, hearing what the truth is. Their minds are being just completely boggled by it all, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna put up this clip right now because, and by the way, I'm just gonna say this when I put this clip up, okay? I'm not gonna make any commentary on it. None of us. All this is Mr. Dark Doctor. He's an evil man. Right? But I'm going to play it for the sake of getting this out to you guys. This is the Dark Doctor. And I'm going to play what he says. And then we don't really need to say much more other than, yeah, here we go. This is what it looks like. So let me see if I can get this played here. Hold on just one second. Let me see if I can get this up. Okay. Let me go back. Let me refresh this one more time. Okay, and let me get this just a little more visible. Okay, so, yep, okay. All right. What just happened here? Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's play this, and you guys can take a listen. I'm going to actually go over to this scene so you guys can see this. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, let's play this.
Many of them are hospitalized with COVID as opposed to because of COVID. So it's overcounting the number of children who are, quote, hospitalized with COVID as opposed to
I don't know if I want to offer any other comment.
No, you can't because we'll get in trouble. So just leave it at that. But you saw that thing I sent you and Don this morning early.
Oh, yeah.
You know what the strange, it's okay. What, for everybody watching, we're talking about, it's a factual online medical website, not a fictitious one, not one that's made up. It's just facts from, I can't even talk about that.
Facts concerning the results of a particular health procedure.
Yeah, they're facts. I mean, there's no commentary on it. It's just facts. In fact, they are saying, okay, be careful about this because of this and that. It's just facts. I'll just say that.
And by the way, these are numbers that are released, facts they're all located in a particular area, but they are numbers that the CDC releases. These are not like made up numbers like, hey, my friend told me that this or that. No, these are the CDC. The Center for Disease Control is releasing this information.
They're their numbers, and they are tracking the particular medical procedure corporations with things.
Yeah.
And they're there.
Which, by the way, there is an official reporting system that the CDC has that catalogs all of this information. And the numbers that it shows for complications for a particular health procedure are substantial. Substantial. They are huge numbers, and they only reflect what they estimate to be roughly 1% of the actual things going on, because of the fact that this reporting system is so difficult and tedious that most people will not follow through with it.
Yep. And they only, what is it, 1%? Is that
1%?
Yeah, 1%.
Some people say that the number is as high as 15%. Even if it is 15%, the numbers as it relates are staggering.
Let's just say it was accurate 100%, which pretty much everyone knows it's not. If it was 100%, it's still staggering.
No, but this has nothing to do with the accuracy. This has everything to do with well, it does. But it basically says 1% of the people actually reported into this system.
Yeah, I mean, because it's too hard to follow through with all the reports.
Now just to give you an idea, if they say 1/10, if 1/100th of those numbers were true of any other procedure, they would immediately stop that procedure. Right?
Yes. Yeah, they would. Yep, they sure would. Hey, can I ask you about something else?
Yeah.
Because we're in this.
Peanuts, I'm fired up.
Okay, because we got to get to questions soon, because we got a lot of stuff we got to do today.
I know.
Okay. The developer of human implantable microchip disruptive I can't say much of this either, man. Says there's no stopping it, and it's coming whether we like it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this has been a big discussion. I know that I don't know if you've watched the Babylon Bee interview of Elon Musk. I don't know if you saw that.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great interview, and it's very interesting how this is a guy who is all about AI. I mean, this guy is probably at the forefront of AI technology. He had to be to create the car that drives itself, right? But he has a whole company that's dedicated to AI. And one of the things that he is really desperate to do is to bypass genetic research altogether and to create a embeddable chip that utilizes AI to assist brain function in communicating to the nervous system how to teach a body to move again. So people like me that have serious balance problems or the nerves don't work right or whatever, he wants to take a little chip, implant it in the back of my head, and it would basically reactivate my whole nervous system. That's very tempting for somebody like me. I'll pass on that, right? But what he basically wants to do is heal quadriplegics. He wants to do all of that. But this is what he goes on to say. He says, I want oversight. I want there to be real oversight. And he says if the government is going to provide the oversight, which they should, assuming they're not corrupt, I don't want them to be players in the game. So think about it like this. The illustration that he gave is, how in the world can you have a referee that's playing on one team or the other? It doesn't work that way. The referee has to be completely independent. He can't be playing the game. But the government continues to play the game. Because his fear is that AI is getting to the point. AI is getting to the point where it's actually getting really scary. What was that website that you gave me before, Dale? What is it?
Which one?
The AI one.
Replica.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys this. This is scary, okay? I'm going to tell you, this is creepy. So I'm just giving you the creep warning, all right? This warning is super creepy. Here it is. It is creepy, okay? That looks like a real person. It's not. It's AI. Now, what it wants you to do is create a profile right here, log in, and she wants to be your friend and give you lots of counsel to make you better in the head. If you're having problems, you need psychological help, whatever, you need counseling, this AI right here is designed to make you feel better. I don't know about you, but I'm already beginning to develop psychosis even looking at that. That looks crazy. Yeah. That's not a human being. That is AI right there.
Yeah. Did you see that guy yesterday? I had a news report on it. He wants to marry his AI doll or something like that.
Bro, I don't know about that report, but I've heard many reports similar to that. It's just disgusting.
So I guess the guy, was lonely or whatever. But you look at this, and then you have the report that came out last week where you have AI telling kids to take a penny and put it into a socket.
Oh,
did you see
goodness, bro? No, I didn't see that.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
just scary.
Okay. Yeah. So this is, so you look at, you're talking about counseling. Well, what kind of counsel is this going to give to a 5-year-old?
Oh my goodness, bro. I'm just telling you.
Did you ever read 2001 Space Odyssey or see the movie?
A long time ago when I was a kid. Yep.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah. So you see the progression. That's really what it was a progression presumed to be from another planet. I don't know if you remember the whole thing. These alien creatures apparently had come down to advance Earth because Earthlings were too far behind back in the days of the apes and so forth. If you actually believed in evolution. So Earthlings became humans, advanced through society, and then take off into space. And then how the computer ends up taking over because of AI, how the computer ends up taking over humanity at the end of the movie. So that was a book written years and years ago. But this is what the projection is by Elon Musk and many others, is that, look, this goes much further. James, I'm looking at it going, is it another year? Is it 2 years before you can't reverse this? You can't stop
bro.
it? Is it that long, or is it 6 months from now? Because it's happening so fast.
Elon Musk thinks it could be as little as 6 months.
Yeah. And so, I'm obviously not a tech guy, but from everything I've read and continue to read, we have pretty much crossed the Rubicon. If not, by the end of 2022, there's no possibility. JD Frog said a couple of weeks ago in one of the videos I was watching with him that technology is so far advanced that it's going to outpace where the Bible says is going to be the finish pretty soon. So
I think JD is just a brilliant guy. I think the guy's amazing. A lot of the insights that he comes out with are like, I'm 100% dead on. And the technology statement that he made, I would agree, except in one respect. It may not be 10 years. It actually may be sooner.
Did he say 10 years?
I think he said 10 years.
I don't remember that.
I think he said, in other words, not that God's going to come in 10 years, but I think he said that technology, by the time we get the technology in 10 years, it will outpace that which we see in the Bible. I forgot what was the exact statement. It was something like that, right?
I didn't remember the 10-year part, but I do remember he may have said 10 years, but I agree that we're looking at 2022.
Bro,
we're in the beginning. I look at the end of 2022 and I think it's already there.
Yeah, and I could have misheard JD. I'm not sure. But the one thing that I will tell you about all of this is the technology is so exponential that there's no, honestly, like there's no way of knowing. This is the way I would put it, right? I would add to this. I would add to what JD said by simply saying this. We are literally dealing with the modern day Tower of Babel. This is a modern day Tower of Babel.
Oh, that's totally what the entire globalist system is getting back to the Tower of Babel. And the way to do it is with technology, and AI is that technology. I believe AI is demonically infused. And, and I look at it also, and I believe that the genie's already been let out of the bottle, because here's the problem. Let's say Elon Musk gets his wish that there would be government oversight. The problem is, it's like gene editing or something. There's too many evil scientists.
But do you know what? And I've heard people, even on this chat, make weird comments about how can you say AI is actually demonically inspired? Okay, let me help some of you that are having a hard time processing this. Think through this. Let me help you think on the level that Tom is thinking, because he's thinking far in front of what a lot of people are going to process. Let me just help you with this, okay? AI itself is a technology, okay? It's an extension of the constructs that have built within the mind of man, which are inspired by demons. This is not difficult. If I'm a computer programmer and I write a set of heuristics that are tied to a particular form of artificial intelligence, I am not extending God's ethics into that technology. I'm extending the ethics of a world that thinks it's okay to kill babies. If that's not demonically inspired, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So think through this, folks, please.
Yeah. And you look at, so a world where the leaders want to kill babies, it seems like half the population wants to kill babies. You have half for, half against. I don't know what the exact numbers are there, but I'm thinking globally also, you have China, which has had their one-child policy in effect for how long? So you have, these are the people that are leading everything. In this world, you have scientists and tech people that totally that buy into that type of immoral thinking. So when you have that, and you're thinking you're going to give them the keys to the kingdom, and how many millions upon hundreds of millions of people already think that way? How many of them are in science or are scientists or technicians in the tech world or whatever? And then you start to realize the genie's already let out of the bottle. Because even if you had a good government, which we do not, but if we did, you'd have to cap that. You can't cap it because there's too many people that are led by demons in their thinking and on down the path of being given over to doctrines of demons, even within the church, to be able to stop it at this point.
Yep, 100%.
Even if Elon Musk got his wish, it's too late.
100%. 100%. Not to mention the fact that they are looking to create catastrophic mechanisms to deploy into the technology world so that the necessity for AI becomes even more of a reality. Yeah. I mean, like a perfect example of this, and you were talking about this with Monkey, which, by the way, that was a really, really good show. But same kind of thing. They want to, in the United States of America, release the back-end infrastructure components, which, by the way, they've been already released for, right now, 5G towers have been out for, my goodness, I mean, they've been out for, I want to say, at least the better part of 3 years, right? But the technology that drives those frequencies where they're going to turn all that stuff up, that's supposed to happen tomorrow. Every other country in the world is saying, we don't want to do this.
Yeah. So what I read was just before we came on is that Verizon and whoever, these two big companies, was it Verizon and AT&T? I don't know who else.
The parent company of AT&T, yes.
Okay, Verizon and whoever, they said they're willing to wait. But I don't know what that means.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know what it means.
Because I could give you an example of this.
So that was probably an hour ago when I read this. So I haven't had any time to look into and see what it actually means.
But just to give you an idea, bro, so that you know, and anybody with a technology mind will appreciate this. There are some 5G routers that are actually working and transmitting on frequency. For example, if you go right now to an area in Long Beach, I can tell you exactly where. I can tell you what parking lot to go into, right? You can actually see the new 5G towers there. But what's even more interesting is the internet speed that you get from that tower will make you barf. Put it this way. Right now, here at the church, we have gigabit internet. In other words, you can go 1,000 megabit up, 1,000 megabit down. That is, 5 years ago, to have that kind of speed, you would be spending $160,000 a month to get that kind of speed, right? We get it now for, I don't know, a couple $100 a month. I mean, it's pretty cheap, okay? But that's hardwire technology. You go to this particular place that I'm telling you about, where they have a real, true 5G going on, because there are several test sites that have been deployed across the country. I want to say something like 18,000 of them or something like that, right? That Verizon is inspiring. You know what the download speed is? This will blow your mind.
I don't know.
Almost double. 1.8 gigabyte. By the way, just so you know, most people don't have hardwired network infrastructure backends to support that kind of speed. I mean, people are going to look at this and go, wow, but they have no idea what they're walking into.
Yeah. So now Elon Musk is really the driving force behind 5G, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. I just find the whole thing so fascinating.
Like that. As a matter of fact, It's interesting. SpaceX has actually launched several satellites into orbit that actually facilitate the use of solid 5G networks. There's no joke.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about this. Think about the fact that you could have 30 million people taking advantage of the full bandwidth of 5G, and it wouldn't even mess with it.
Yeah. That's
the
crazy
problem is
stuff.
what kind of effect is it going to have on airplanes? What kind of effect is it going to have on automated systems that rely on radio frequency?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to all of that stuff?
Yeah. So, and apparently other countries recognize this may be a problem, but here in the United States, they seem to want to push forward. So I am curious as to what it means we're willing to wait. Does that mean wait till Friday, from Wednesday till Friday?
Bro.
You know, I'm supposed to be flying in a couple of weeks. I'm thinking, I'm not so sure I want to get an airplane, because what if that's the day that they say, hey, let's flip the switch and turn this thing on? See how it goes. I'm thinking, hey, you know what? Can we get to questions? Because you and I both got a whole lot to do in the next 2 hours.
Yeah. I just have to read something humorous to you.
Okay.
So Dale, I'll put it on this screen so that you can see it. Dale is in the studio with me. You could kind of see him in the corner because he's moderating, right? Him and his daughter, Abby, who she also works for me. She's amazing. He tells me, he says, because my preview screen for what I show everybody is right here. He sent me a text. I just thought it was funny. I'll read it. The text was, you better close out that window with the freaky AI girl. I think she just winked at me. Oh, Dale. Okay, so yeah, let's do that. Let's get to some questions. And folks, this is what you want to do. You want to put questions in all caps and then give us your question. And while we're waiting for that, I'm going to acknowledge some of these supers. You guys are just unbelievable. Thank you so much for all of your support. We will start with Gary K. Thank you so much. Reagan Keith, 1776. Thank you. Shelly McFerrin. Wow, very generous. Thank you so much. Examina Otero. Thank you so much. Robert Stevens, thank you for your super chat. You say your prophecy updates year end were awesome. Just as Billy's plea to all, now is the time to come to Jesus. Nothing is more important now than getting people to Jesus. God bless you. From Oklahoma. By the way, you should, I don't know if you saw mine, my prophecy update, bro, but I think I scared everybody into seeking Jesus. I don't know if you saw it or not, but
You know what?
you have to go
Praise
back
the
and look
Lord.
at it. It'll
Praise
scare
the
you
Lord.
into rededicating your life. I promise you. I rededicated my life 5 times while I was doing that update because it was scary.
I don't think I'm not safe.
NT Diver 5, James, please read 99%. I wanted to hear you say it. 99% instead of 100%? Is that the idea? 100%. Okay, all right. I don't get that one, but that's pretty funny. Let me see here. Titus 2:13, Brother Tom, your New Year's service vid with Billy was fire, and yours too, James. Vertebreaker, I am worth the disruption. Bridget Lawson, please pray for my family for salvation. Lord, in the name of Jesus, we do pray for Bridget's family. Lord, we know you want salvation for them, so we pray that you would bring it. In Jesus' name, amen. Brandon Beckham, thank you so much. You say Pastor Tom and Monkey have a good brief answer on Romans 13 and Christian resistance compliance with governments moving to Antichrist system. Can you all three make a detailed video discussing and teaching on this? Yes, and by the way, I would recommend you go on my YouTube page. About 8 months ago, I made a pretty good video on that subject, and a lot of people still use it today, get into a lot of Greek and talk about that. Mandy P, you say, I'm here, almost missed you guys. Thanks for all you do to inform us. Gloria Minix, you say, so thankful for programs like this. It's good to know we are all in together. I pray God continues to bless us for however long we have here. Amen. And Susie Araco, thank you for your support. That's a lot to be reading, but you guys are awesome. And I think Sally Olin just dropped one as well, saying Israel just passed a law that, that people who do not follow their mandates cannot buy food. I don't know how, I'll have to check that out. That's crazy.
I haven't seen that. I'll check that out too.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that one.
Hey, I got a question. Here's a question. Oh, this is on here. This is one of the questions. This person asks, it is Margaret, she says, hasn't 5G already been implemented? My phone has been 5G for over a year.
Yes.
What am I missing? So
let me
explain that difference.
Yeah. So, okay. So I have a heavy technology background. As a matter of fact, for those of you that don't know, I was the chief information officer of a local municipal police department for many, many years when I first started Calvary Chapel Signal Hill. Although a lot of them are kind of probably out of date. I hold something like 300 and something certifications, probably around 330 certifications in information technology. Particularly in the area of networking and computer forensics. I kind of have a heavy background in that. So what they have deployed is the infrastructure for 5G, right? So think about it like this. When we used to get routers that were way high end, really, really good high end, we knew they were coming, right? For example, the old routers that we used to use were 10 megabit capable. Let me not even use that. Let's just say switches, right? 10 megabit switches. In other words, they could facilitate a speed that was about 10 megabit, and then they went up to 100 megabit. When they went to 100, we were like, oh, goodness gracious, the 1,000 megabit are coming. But the problem is you cannot go to 1,000 megabit unless you change the wire. So we changed the wire way before those machines came in to do it. So let me give you a more layman's terms way of understanding this, right? You have a highway that you've just built, okay? And the highway can only take cars that go a certain miles an hour. They were designed for 30 miles an hour, okay? That was a lot of the highways up until about 20 or 21. Okay. Well, what happens is you have a guy who says, I've invented a car and the car is capable of going 100 miles an hour. Well, then people say, we don't have the roads that will facilitate that. Well, the car is coming in 10 years. You need to be able to get ready for the car that comes in 10 years that'll do 100 miles an hour. So what happens is they work instantly on the process, and pretty soon they change all the roads, all the highways, and now the highways have the ability to facilitate a car that can go 100 miles an hour. So you label the highway 100 mile an hour highway, but there are no cars that go 100 mile an hour on it yet. But the infrastructure is there to support it. That's why you see 5G on your phone a lot, because think of it this way. They're building the highway and have built the highway. As a matter of fact, across the nation, almost all over the country and a good portion of the world, 5G highways, shall we say, have already been built. The infrastructure is there, right? But they have not driven the cars on the highway. And it's an oversimplified way of describing it, but that's exactly what that means, okay?
That's a great explanation.
Yeah, and it's kind of, it's hard to come up with these explanations, but when you know the technology, it's probably the easiest way to do it. And some of the tech guys are laughing at me right now, but y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
That may be, but it was really good, simple way to understand what's happening. And right here, this car's about ready to hit the road, apparently, except Verizon said, we'll wait.
Yeah, and for you technology guys that are out there, it is the RF frequency or RF theory way of describing ripping out your backbone that is rated for a 5E cable to a category 6 cable. It's the same kind of situation, right? It's kind of like the difference between an IP version making a change with an IP version, right? It's the same kind of thing. That's exactly what's going on. You have the infrastructure to support it. You just don't have the mechanics actually moving within it because it hasn't been developed yet. That's kind of the idea here. So that's why you see it, which is why, like I said, I can go to a certain area in Long Beach right now and I can actually see a 100 mile an hour car going in that little area. So that's probably the best way of putting it. Diane Geary, by the way, thank you. And thank you as well, NB. Thank you so much. Okay, sorry, but that's the best way to describe it. That's how
great.
I would just do it.
Yeah, great. Another question?
Yeah. Let's take a few if you want.
Metanoia before it's too late says, Tom says AI is demonically inspired. Are you aware of the Rainbow Mansion in Cupertino, where techies have encounters with entities that share advanced knowledge on how to develop AI? And says, check it out. Now, I do know, I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not either. I'm a tech guy. I follow that stuff.
But I do know that out in the desert, it's either California or Nevada desert, somewhere in the Mojave Desert, you have that Burning Man festival that happens every year. And it is primarily, have you seen the Burning Man festival? They build a temple out there. It's just insanity. Mad Max. It's like Mad Max on steroids. And a lot of the people that are behind it are in the tech industry. And I'm telling you, James, that is a demonically infused thing.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
reported on it probably, I think it was 2016, maybe 2015, somewhere in there, talking about it. And I looked at that and I said, man, this stuff is just absolutely demonic. But I remember reading about it and talking about it, and you have these techies, these tech people, very well known, not the low end guys. I mean, the guys that are at the top of these corporations that are out there going into these temples with this, worshiping what I would look at in the Bible as being these demonic ceremonies.
Oh yeah.
And then they go back to Cupertino. So, I don't know anything about this Rainbow Mansion, but I mean, certainly wouldn't surprise me.
But there's a lot of constructs like this that are out there. There's a lot of people that are doing this kind of thing, and it's amazing. Here's a question, a couple of them actually. One I can answer pretty quickly. JM, your question is, has there been any research on the effect of 5G on a dog or cat microchips? It becomes somewhat superfluous because the technology that's on there is passive and not active. In other words, it requires, it basically would not affect it, right? What you would need to affect a chip like that would be some kind of a EMP device. That's what you would need to affect a chip like that. So it wouldn't affect that. There are other types of technology that it may perhaps affect. We don't know for sure. Perhaps one of the most greatest concerns we have with the deployment of 5G is its use within technology that is automated, number one. So we have a lot of these military drones that are in the sky. We don't know what effect it's going to have on those. We don't know what effect it's going to have on weapon systems because I don't think it's been thoroughly vetted. And we certainly don't know what kind of effect it's going to have on aviation, right? Which is something that I know Monkey brought out pretty extensively.
Yeah. And he said that was the concern that the airline industry, Boeing and on down the list had was, look,
correct.
We don't even know yet.
Right.
So you do have a question in here about that statue. We've dealt with this before, but maybe we can lay it to rest. The UN statue with the leopard cat and the face and the wings. So, because it still pops up, there's videos about it, and people are saying, "Look, it's proof Revelation is true," but
yeah,
it's not. And I know we've dealt with this several times, but it's on here, so
it's more of a reflection of sort of what the Aztecs did in their artwork, and it kind of comes from that sort of Mayan, Aztec, South American kind of feel. By the way, when you look at the descriptions that are being given in Daniel, and you look at the description being given in Revelation, the context is also wrong, right? You're talking about a description of something that exists during the time of the tribulation and not during the current time that we're in right now. Not that I'm minimizing this. It could be a reflection of what is to come, certainly. But I'm more worried about other things, like the Prince Charles speech, for example. So I'm more concerned about that than I am about any of these other things. I mean, I think that I'm not that I'm minimizing it, but there's a lot of things that are much more in and in front of us to be thought of there. Okay, so that's what I would say. Here's a question from Michelle C23. Thank you for your support, by the way. You say, how beat up will Jesus allow his bride to be before he raptures us? Will we see socialism in America, poverty? Well, we're already seeing socialism and poverty in America. God's sort of allowed people to have what they want, and we're already seeing it. I don't know what you would add to that, Gail Kirkhoff. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, this needs to be my last question because I'm looking at the clock.
Yep, we both have a lot of recording to do.
Yeah, we have a lot to do. Okay, I'll make this real quick because Americans are in this weird bubble that seem to think that we're not used to persecution, not used to suffering, and so forth. Since the history of the church go all the way back to Pentecost, the church God's people have always suffered persecution and suffering. It's happening in the world now. It's happened since the beginning. America seemed to be in this bubble since it was first founded. Well, that bubble's been been popped. So Jesus said, they persecuted me, they're going to persecute you. That is different. So when you say beat up his bride, God's not beating up his bride. I think that's some bad language. Listen,
I agree.
When we are not appointed to wrath, we're not appointed to the wrath of God.
That's right.
So when we look at that and understand that perspective, we can go through a lot before the rapture takes place. The rapture could take place tomorrow. The rapture might not take place for who knows when. I have all kinds of people that are emailing me like off the hook, it seems, trying to tell me, hey, you better tell everybody the rapture's in 2022. I don't know when it's going to be,
right.
But I do know that we need to be well prepared. The church has always suffered and always been persecuted. What makes us think we're exempt from that? But we are not appointed to the wrath of God. God doesn't beat up his bride.
Yeah, that's correct. And yes, absolutely. And real quick, and then we're going to close up. Dr. Michael McDermott, yes, it affects equipment depending on the frequency that they operate on. In some cases, that's not even the case. You can have certain pieces of equipment that are not RF related at all, but a certain harmonic, and I'm just answering this on a technical level, a certain harmonic of the primary frequency can actually very much affect the piece of equipment, right? It can create heat sources. There's lots of problems that can come as a result of it. So it just doesn't mean the main frequency. It could be multiple harmonics of that frequency, and it could also be local RF fields that are created by things that are even in some cases passive, but there would have to be something active tied to it. So yes, that's what I would say. And then just to thank some of the last people, Norma Corbin, thank you so much for your support. I don't know if I mentioned Gail Kirchhoff, but thank you so much, and say hi to Eric. Let's pray, Tommy, shall we?
Yes.
All right.
Lord, we thank you for this wonderful time, being able to discuss these things with everybody. It's kind of cool, Lord, how you put us all in the room together with the comments and the questions. We praise you. Help us all to be strong in you, to remember you got us through in 2020 and 2021, and you will in 2022. Help us to be faithful to you until Jesus comes. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys, we love you so much. Make sure you keep your eyes open for the video that we've got coming next. And the title of that video is, let me see here, because I've done so many of them, I get all confused. How's it been working for you so far? Oh, this is a good one, by the way. You're going to want to watch that. All right, we love you guys. Keep your eyes on the Lord. Keep fighting the good fight. Tell people about Jesus. He's coming soon. God bless you.